Hello, welcome to the Polyglot Files. My name is Michael, and today we're breaking new ground on this channel because we're focusing on a language that is not communicated orally. We are learning about sign language. However, when I talk about sign language, I'm not talking about a single language. I'm talking about a collection of languages that are not really related to each other, but use signs, like the ones you just saw at the beginning of this video, to communicate whole ideas. And these languages are primarily used by the hard of hearing or the deaf. Before I get started though, I did want to say that if you like what I do on this channel, please consider checking me out on Patreon. Patreon is a service that allows you to sponsor creators so that I can continue to create quality content for viewers like you. Click on the link in the description or on the card and you can find out all the benefits that you could reap if you decide to sponsor my channel. Contrary to popular belief, sign languages evolved naturally in the same way that spoken languages did. It is believed that sign languages originally began as a system of using the hand to convey letters of the alphabet. In fact, this is called fingerspelling, and it is still used in modern sign languages today. And in fact, I used it when I gave my name because fingerspelling is the most common way to give somebody your name. Sign languages evolved gradually from fingerspelling as they created more signs to represent concepts in the real world. Educator Charles-Michel de Lépée is known for having brought sign language from France to the United States, where he founded the American School for the Deaf in Hartford, Connecticut in 1817. As such, French Sign Language is the basis for many of the signs present in American Sign Language, as well as its fingerspelling alphabet. Today, it is generally believed that there are as many as 500,000 American Sign Language users, many of which live in the United States and Canada. But American Sign Language isn't the only sign language around the world. In fact, there are hundreds of sign languages, and these sign languages are specific to countries or regions. In fact, even in countries that share the same official spoken language, often their sign languages are not mutually intelligible. Take, for example, American Sign Language and British Sign Language. Even though English is spoken in both the United States and the United Kingdom, the two sign languages are not mutually intelligible at all, meaning that signers of one language cannot understand signers of the other. Further, there are even dialects of standardized forms of sign languages, where a speaker may use a different variation of a sign depending on their geographical location. But now that we know about sign language in general terms, let's delve a little bit deeper into it. Primarily, how do sign languages work? For starters, sign languages do not have words necessarily. Each sign actually represents a concept rather than a word, making translation into spoken language or acquisition by non-native signers difficult. To me, this concept reminds me of Chinese written characters. The characters themselves do not give pronunciation information, like a word does in English. Instead, they represent a concept. The same is true for sign languages. The sign itself does not give pronunciation information, instead it just represents a concept. Further, it's not just the concept signed with the hands that is important for sign languages. It is often imperative to watch a signer's facial expressions and body language in addition to their signs, because these things give additional context and meaning to what they are trying to tell us. In fact, one of the major questions I had when I was researching sign languages was just how the grammar of sign languages work. What I mean to say is that in spoken languages, we often can see the grammar of a language reflected in the way that words change or the way that things are written down. But since sign languages are neither written nor spoken, I was wondering how things like plurality and declinations and verb tenses were expressed. Turns out that they are expressed rather easily. Let's use American Sign Language to dive into a few examples. Firstly, a signer might do a sign twice to show an ongoing action. For example, this sign means eat, but if I wanted to say that I am in the process of eating, or that it is an ongoing action, I would do this sign twice. However, for tenses like the past or the future in American Sign Language, one doesn't actually modify the verb itself to show that tense. Instead, the signer will just name the period of time they're talking about before the sentence. This would be used to express actions that the speaker is going to do tomorrow or that they did yesterday. Another way to modify signs is to make them bigger or smaller as you're doing them. For example, if you take the sign sad in American Sign Language and make it bigger, sad, it expresses an intensified sadness with a meaning maybe closer to distraught. Further, in terms of syntax, American Sign Language and other sign languages are generally considered to be topic initial languages. If you're familiar with Japanese, then you probably already know what a topic initial language is. But if not, it just means that the topic of a sentence, rather than the subject, occurs at the beginning of a sentence. For example, it is perfectly acceptable in American Sign Language to sign the sentence, I am a student, by saying I, student, or student, I. That is because you can take either sign and put it at the beginning of the sentence in order to show which concept you'd like to emphasize. Also, you may have noticed in that sentence that I did not sign the word am. That's because American Sign Language does not have the word for be. And this is pretty similar to spoken languages such as Russian, which also omit the verb to be. Further, adjectives are placed after the noun in American Sign Language. That means to say something like big car, you would say car, big. Lastly, in American Sign Language, you can actually punctuate your sentences simply by using body language. For example, to say, do you like books in American Sign Language, you would just say the statement, you like books, and then raise your eyebrows at the end to show that it is a question. Okay, obviously there was way more about sign language to cover, but I hope this gives you an introductory look at how sign languages work, and that you are interested to do some more research yourself or learn sign language. If you are learning a sign language, or you already know a sign language, leave me a comment below. I'd love to learn more about how these languages work and what you think about sign languages. Don't forget to check me out on social media. I have a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As usual, thank you for watching the Polyglot Files, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.